Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. So much going on right now with Terence Crawford. What he's going to do next. Canelo, we know he's fighting Berlanga. Looks like Canelo isn't interested in fighting Terence Crawford. His focus is on Berlanga. But it also seems that Turkey Al-Sheikh isn't trying to entertain Canelo with his unrealistic financial demands. Because to Canelo, it's a game. He's like, look, if you want to fight me, cool. Give me 200 million, 250 million. Give me $1 billion. Canelo's just throwing numbers out there because he doesn't have a real interest in fighting someone like Crawford or anyone that's smaller than him. Now, Canelo has his own reasons for not wanting those fights. But at the end of the day, he doesn't want it, okay? So now we're trying to figure out with Terence Crawford, what's his next move? Because it seems like everyone has put their eggs in the basket, hoping for Crawford to get the Canelo fight. Since the ship has sailed, now it's like, well, what does he do? And I'm going to tell you, from listening to Crawford, Turkey Al-Sheikh, and just taking a look at what's going on out there at the 154-pound landscape, I think Crawford could be, possibly going up against Virgil Ortiz or the winner of Fundora and Spence, something along those lines. But somebody brought up something that I thought was interesting. They were saying, okay, look, Jermell Charlo is back. And they think that Crawford should fight Jermell Charlo. And they were saying they felt the fight was evenly matched because Crawford and Charlo are the same fighters. And I said, yo, hold your horses. Let's not take it to the stupid. Now, they were talking about their height, their reach, and I said, well, they're not the same because the only thing where there's a similarity is in the reach. Well, now you look at Terence Crawford, he has a 74-inch reach. Jermell Charlo, when you take a look at him, his reach is at 73 inches. Crawford's about 5'8". Jermell's about 5'11", 6 feet tall. Jermell has 35 wins, 19 KOs. He has 2 losses, right? KO ratio is 54%. Crawford's in the high 70s. But the thing here that I thought was interesting is when you look at Jermell Charlo and his punch output. Jermell Charlo can punch and throw 30 to 40 punches around. He had to perform like that in particular when he fought Castaño. So if Jermell Charlo has to fight, which he doesn't like to throw a whole lot, but I think 25, I say 25 punches around is a sweet spot for Jermell. But he can up it if he has to. And when he has an aggressive come forward fighter. But Crawford, and we saw him this past weekend, Crawford can easily punch 40 punches around. You know what I'm saying? He can do that, no problem. But it depends on the type of fighter they have in front of him. Now, what we did not see, and this is why I think the comparison between Crawford and Charlo, I thought it was a faulty comparison, saying that they're the same fighter. Charlo had an opportunity. The opportunity Crawford wanted, he's not going to get, at least right now in the immediate future. Charlo had, fought Canelo. And when he got in there, I truly believe Charlo had every intention on putting the Houston, Texas Beans on Guadalajara, Jalisco's finest, Canelo. I just think when he felt some of that heat, he hauled ass and headed for the hills. And he did that in the first round, second round, all the way until the fight concluded. Just kind of got a moral victory of saying, hey, I went the distance with Guadalajara, Jalisco's finest. Now, the thing about that, I listened to Jermell Charlo at the end of that fight where everybody was ridiculing him and slamming him and saying, hey, he should retire, go and swim across the river, a man eating crocodiles butt naked. I mean, they just didn't cut this man no slack. But I listened to what he said. And he said, Canelo, this was at the post-fight press conference. He said, Canelo is a bull. And what that told me, because these guys, they'll give a fighter their props, but a lot of them don't want it to come off like they're kissing ass. So when he said that, I said, this is my man telling me that Canelo hit hard as shit. That's what he meant by that. And also that it's hard to land on Canelo. That being said, if you want to have an opportunity against a guy like Canelo, one, you got to have an effective jab. 2, you got to have some power. 3, you got to be willing to take risk. The problem is with Canelo, he has really mastered a style of fighting to where he has a damn near impenetrable defense. And once you throw, he trains so much to be a counterpuncher that depending on where your punches land, he instinctively knows how to react, and he reacts. And more times than not, I would say probably 8 out of 10 times when he reacts to counterpunch you, he lands. And that's very discouraging when you're in a fight. Now, you talk about Terence Crawford. Now, of course, it looks like he and Canelo in the immediate future aren't going to scrap. But I just don't think it's fair to say Jermell Charlo is the same as Terence Crawford when you look at Crawford being willing to step to a fighter. Crawford, who has more punching power? I want to say Terence Crawford. But Jermell can crack too. Being over there with Derrick James helped evolve his style, made him more from just being a boxer runner to a boxer puncher, and sometimes being just a puncher. So Jermell can crack, and if he hits you, he can hurt you. But we know Crawford can crack, and we saw when Crawford fought Majumov. He had Majumov hurt. When he started stepping to him late in the second half of the fight, I think the last like 3 rounds, Majumov was hurt and grabbing onto him. That lets you know that a guy like Majumov, who basically is Triple G's little brother, lowercase g, right? GGG unit. He could hurt him. He could hurt anybody. Crawford's got power, people. And if he fought Canelo, I truly believe Crawford would try his best to knock Canelo out. And I think if he hit Canelo, Canelo would say, okay, he's got some power. And I don't think Canelo would just get reckless. Now you guys would say, oh, well, Canelo fought Triple G. He fought all these guys who hit hard. He fought Miguel Cotto. He fought Bivol. And he was still coming at him. Listen, and you'll hold your horses. We're talking about styles. And we're talking about Canelo and Triple G fighting years ago. We're talking about Canelo today. So to say Crawford would get in the ring against Canelo and perform like Jermell Charlo, because somebody think there's some similarity. The only thing they got in common, maybe the reach is a little bit closer, and they both goddamn black Americans. That's it. That's it. 2 different styles of fighting. 2 different mentalities. And I just think Crawford is stubborn and bitter, and I think Crawford is mean as shit. And I just don't think Crawford, if he gets hurt, he's going to want to get his lick back. And I think that fight between he and Canelo will be more interesting than not. However, again, who knows what's going to happen with them. But this shit about Crawford and Jermell, look, they're the same fighter. If Crawford fights Lubin, who is Crawford's mandatory, right? Well, then there's a chance Crawford can lose to Lubin. Okay, hold on a second. You're saying he's just like Jermell Charlo, right? That's what you're saying. And if Crawford would lose to Canelo because Jermell lost to Canelo, right? But Jermell tranquilized Lubin. But Crawford gonna lose to Lubin? And you hold your horses. Let's not take it to the stupid. What are we talking about here? Is he like Charlo, or is he not like Charlo? Or as the way Jared Anderson would say it, is y'all with me or is y'all not with me, cuz? That's the question. So y'all don't even know what y'all saying half the time. And I do believe that fight, Lubin's gonna make some noise. Remember, recently, Lubin had a fight penciled in, man. Supposed to be fighting, I believe it was Tszyu. Ortiz is out here, man, about to fight Bohachuk. Then you got Fundora and Spence. Then all of that shit got shook up. And now you're starting to see exactly what I said would happen. The 154-pound division. Now you're going to start seeing fights get solidified. And we already know what's going on here with sounds like Tszyu and Martazaliev. Let me pull this up real quick. It sounds like it's going to be Tszyu against Martazaliev, and he agreed to the fight. So that's let me see right here, boxing rankings. That's a good thing for Tszyu because he's back in the mix, and he'll be fighting for a belt, which I think Tszyu deserves. I'm telling you right now, man, I like Tszyu. Anybody who follows the channel knows I'm always out here talking about some Aussie, oi. I just look what Tszyu did, man, and that stretch from Tony Harrison to was it Ocampo and I don't know what, them 3 fighters that he ran through, then to come back, face off against Fundora and damn near blasted his face off till he got elbowed in the head and top of his head and his brain started falling out. I just think Tszyu was on his way to he was about to knock out Fundora. So I think it's good that Tszyu has an opportunity now to come out here and fight this guy right here. For the IBF strap, Bakram Murtazaliev. That's who it looks like he's supposed to be fighting. Word on the street is he's already agreed. So when you take a look at that IBF ranking stack, of course this is as of 17 July, they need to update it. But just looking at it, Erickson Lubin's the mandatory right here. He's a mandatory to Crawford. So it makes sense that Erickson Lubin would not get the shot at Murtazaliev. It also makes sense that Erickson Lubin, that hit the fight that he had scheduled, collapsed. And now he's quiet because I'm sure they're working something for him next. It also makes sense that Tszyu and Ortiz was broken up so Ortiz could face Bohachuk, and now Tszyu is going to be getting an opportunity against Murtazaliev. You see, the secret society's at work. So it's all making sense. And what else makes sense is that Josh Kelly, his name is not even being mentioned. You see, Josh Kelly, man, his ass isn't being mentioned anywhere. He went from being ranked the number one at the WBO to his ass just totally falling off. So I'm glad, I'm happy to see that. But just pay attention to what's going on, people. I'm telling you, Tszyu and Murtazaliev is going to get it on. I think Lubin is going to raise hell if he doesn't get the Crawford fight. But we know Crawford's about belts. You got Turkey Al-Sheikh promising him big money. And Lubin may never say anything. You know why? Because he'll probably get some step-aside money. We know you're the mandatory. Just shut up, get out the way. Here's $500,000. Here's $1 million. Shut up and disappear. And they're going to let Crawford fight the winner of Fundora and Spence, or he's going to fight for the winner of Virgil Ortiz and Sergey Bohachuk. I think Bohachuk's going to get Ortiz, but I know the fight they want is Ortiz. And it'll be an interesting fight. I just don't think any of those guys can mess with Terence Crawford. When you look at, let me collapse this a little bit. When you just be real and think about, Bohachuk is long. I think Bohachuk is the most complicated fight for Crawford. But when I think about Virgil Ortiz, Crawford he just comes straight forward. Crawford would just tranquilize him. I think Crawford knocks him out cold. Erickson Lubin, look, he can fight, but he doesn't have nothing for Crawford. Fundora is another fight I think is tough for Crawford. I don't think it's an impossible fight at all. I think Crawford beats him, but I'm talking about the height and reach. If Fundora can use his reach effectively, he makes the fight hard for anyone. I mean, he's 6'6" with an 3-inch reach. I mean, that's crazy. You know what I mean? Got damn near, 9, 10 inches on Crawford and shit. So it's crazy. But that being said, a lot going on, but don't come out here talking about Crawford is the same as Jermell Charlo. They're not the same fighters. Jermell Charlo was a bad boy, and he got that Canelo money. And listen to me. When they report these fighters' purses, take that shit with a grain of salt. Talking about Jermell Charlo only made $5 million, something like that. That's bullshit. He made more like closer to $20 million. Let me tell you, they tell y'all stuff that's not true. You see these fight purses they just reported about this past weekend, Riyadh season out there in LA. Crawford got a guarantee of $2-3 million. Anyway, when you look at the purses that they reported as far as guarantees, there was I don't know if it was Dan Raphael or someone. I should have saved it, but I'm so busy with my kids, I ain't got time to save all that bullshit. But anyway, what the article said is those guarantees being reported aren't accurate. Most of those guarantees are a lot more, and the fighters got paid way more than what is being disclosed to the public. So take that shit with a grain of salt of what they're saying. And that has a lot to do, in my opinion, in addition to the struggle that PBC is having with fight dates, right? I think it has a lot to do with Jermell Charlo being inactive right now. And for him to say, I'm back. Okay, let's see. But he and Crawford, they ain't the same. And to think that Jermell Charlo would come back and go right into a fight with Crawford, he ain't stupid. He might as well strap a bomb on his chest and step into the ring and detonate that shit because it's a suicide mission. He ain't stupid. So, that being said, can they both throw a lot of punches? Yes. Do they both have some power? Yes. They both have great jabs? Yes. Who hits harder? They both hit hard. Can Jermell Charlo switch hit? I don't think so, but maybe he can, but not as effective as Crawford. What about IQ? They both have great IQ. Who's more disciplined? They're both pretty disciplined. Who has the patience? They both have patience. But when I look at it, man, and I'm just being fair to both fighters, I just think Crawford beats Jermell Charlo, because Crawford's stubborn, and he's mean, but he's not an emotional dude. He has great control of his temperament. Jermell is a bit emotional, and I do think Jermell doubts himself. When you sit there and watch your best friend get smoke knocked out of his ass, the way Crawford did Earl Spence, that shit messes with you. And I know Jermell Charlo doesn't want to come back, get a couple wins, go fight Crawford, even if it's for a whole bunch of money, and lose embarrassingly. That being said, y'all keep cool. Crawford and Charlo, they ain't the same fighter. Some similarities, but they ain't the same. And if they were to fight, I'll be honest with you, as much of a monster Jermell Charlo was, tearing through that 154-pound division, he earned everything. I just think that Canelo money and the inactivity, I don't think he want to mess with Crawford. Y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.